Um, are we live?
Yep, I see it.
You do?
Yep.
It's coming through live.
Yep.
All right,
Viewers,
sweet.
touchdown.
Okay, touchdown the Texas game. Hey everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me. We've got a few people that just trickled in here. We're currently, the whole point of this right now is to be watching the Rose Bowl, right? But we've got an instant classic brewing in Atlanta. We have the Texas Longhorns and the Arizona State Sun Devils. I don't have any graphics for that. So what we're going to do is I've got like a quad screen mismatched deal going on here. So we're going to be basically trying to call both games right now. Uh Texas does have to go for two, right? It is the
Yep, it is second
double
overtime.
overtime rule. If you haven't been watching this one, go watch the highlights after this. There's the 2-point play! Climbs the ladder! It secures the two.
So now the pressure's back on ASU.
Yep.
How much does Cam Scottaboo have left in the tank?
Could you check to make sure we're coming through with audio and everything on the stream?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. I will say we are also debuting a new scoreboard. I've done this every 2 years, so when we've done live reactions for 2021 and 2022, 2023 and 2024, now we're in 2025, I'm debuting my new graphics package, so I've been working on those, and so here we go for that. Ohio State will be starting play at their own 25. Meanwhile, again, if you're just joining us, you haven't been watching this Arizona State game, the score is 39-31 Texas in double OT. Meanwhile, a wide open play for the Buckeyes. Down the field is the big man. I believe that was a tight end. I'm like watching two screens, so I'm not 100% sure.
Levitt now throwing to
Oh, throws to
Scatterbo.
Scattaboo in the Arizona State game. I think they might have put a running back in motion. I don't know. I'm so confused right now. So
Might be
please,
a fullback.
yeah, please excuse me for that mismatch there, everyone. But
Ohio State already in Oregon territory, just one play in.
there you go. I'm not gonna update any of the bottom graphics yet, cause we've got a lot going on right here. But an incomplete pass there from Will Howard, so it'll be 2nd and 10, 14-11 on the clock in the first quarter there. It's 1st and 10, Sun Devils. Levitt, he's looking end zone. He's got a roll. It's gonna be an arid pass, and we'll sail out of bounds. Now remember, Arizona State has went for and successfully converted two 2-point conversions today. But as Brivical and I were talking about before we hopped on the air, this is my friend here. I guess I didn't introduce that, but we like to call these games together sometimes and let you guys all hang out. But we were talking about how Arizona State, they've already ran two 2-point plays. In the other game, Ohio State strikes first. Just like that. It's an Ohio State touchdown.
I didn't actually catch that play.
No, it was Jeremiah Smith broke away. And this game was that Scattaboo that just bolted
Scattaboo
forward
for 2 yards.
Two, yeah.
And it'll bring up 3rd and 8 over there.
This
As
is
Ohio State stroke very first, and if that is an indication of how this game's gonna go, we are in for some fireworks.
Yep. Not 60 seconds into the game, it's 6-0 Buckeyes. We're pending the extra point. Anyway, as I was saying about Arizona State, again, folks, sorry this is all over the place right now. But as for Arizona State, they've already went for two twice. They converted them both, but how many 2-point plays do you have in the tank? Here's Levitt, 3rd and 8. Gotta have it. Picked off! Texas will play in the Cotton Bowl. Wow! An unbelievable instant classic, and the Arizona State Sun Devils come crashing down just like that.
And I think just the high-end talent of Texas ended up winning out in the end. Just outlasted Arizona State. Didn't really play the better game, but ended up getting it in the end.
That is unreal. Arizona State fans stunned Cam Scadaboo. He put every ounce of integrity he had on the line. He has nothing to hold his head about. He was practically a dead man walking at the end of that game. But Texas, they win it. It was an instant classic. Arizona State came back down 16 with only a few minutes to go, about 6 minutes left. But Texas finds the win, and they await the winner of this Rose Bowl game, Oregon and Ohio State, and we'll turn our focus there. Here's a handoff for the Ducks. Their first play of the game, and it's a loss of 3.
Ohio State coming out fast in this game.
They definitely are. They're fired up. Of course, it was an instant classic the first time these two teams played. Oregon barely edging out the Buckeyes 32-31 in that one in Eugene. There's a bobbled catch for the Ducks and a lunge forward to get to the 29. It'll be 3rd and 6. Whoa. I just can't believe that game we just watched. Heartbreaking for the Sun Devils, but for those Texas Longhorns, anything but. Here's Gabriel. He's going to look. He'll fire. Short pass. Running for the sticks. Not going to get there. A yard short.
And we know Dan Lanning loves to be aggressive. Does he get aggressive early in this game in his own territory on 4th and short?
See, it seems stupid, but I honestly feel like sometimes... Yeah, they're not going to, but I could see it sometimes. Sometimes there's that, there's that feeling that you can make a big play. Well, they're gonna... I think it's still a punt, but they're going to get a little funky with the formation. I think Oregon's done this in the past. And they will just boot it away. It's a fine punt, and it'll be downed at the 22 with 12:10 on the clock. Well, it was pretty amazing start to the game for the Buckeyes. Force a 3 and out. They're having a commercial break there. But my goodness. Jeremiah Smith with a breakaway touchdown, and that is how the 2025 rendition of the Rose Bowl begins. Of course, we'd be remiss without mentioning, I feel, that, of course, there's the tragedy in New Orleans overnight. Of course, our thoughts go out to everyone impacted there. We were originally going to do a reaction to the Notre Dame-Georgia game as well. We're going to do both Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame-Georgia. That game, if you haven't known, has been postponed to 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow as a result of the just horrific attack that occurred in downtown last night. And so, again, it's unfortunate, but again, there's so many things that are more important than football. And so our thoughts go out to everyone impacted. But this is it for today. You get an instant classic in Atlanta. And now we turn our attention over to the Rose Bowl. And, I mean, so far, I don't know. What do you think so far? I mean, Ohio State's looking pretty good. They've got some fire.
They are. It's looking like they might have figured out this Oregon defense at the 3rd time of asking, but it's only one drive. So I think it'll be hard pressed for Oregon to get back in this game if Ohio State keeps moving on offense like they were. But just one drive, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. So again, if you're just trickling in with all of us, I am with the Colvarks channel here hosting this, and then my friend here, Brevical, has his own channel, and we just like to kind of react to these games live, give you an alternative perspective if you want. If you want to stray away from the ESPN folks, this is kind of more. We can't legally show the game, but I worked hard to make these new graphics to try and give some, just some decent life, and make it feel more like a premium radio broadcaster as well as we can. So I thank you all for trickling in. I see a few people have trickled in. Thank you for showing up, and yeah, I hope it'll be a good game. And I mean, if it's half the game we just got in Atlanta, uh, I think the first double overtime game since that Oklahoma Georgia game, the Rose Bowl in 2017.
Yeah, we don't talk about that game.
Yeah, I'm a Nebraska fan here. I'm with an Oklahoma fan, so again, I'm sure you're not happy with the Texas
Nobody's
win.
nobody's happy with
Oh, that's
Texas
true.
except
Yeah.
Texas.
Here's Will Howard, and he's gonna wind up the toy box, heaving it deep. What a grab! Down to
In
the
between
49.
two defenders.
My goodness, the Buckeyes came to play.
Right back to Jeremiah Smith. In between three guys, just goes up and high points the ball. None of the Oregon defenders get up for it. And it's just sure-handed from Smith.
What an incredible play there. Ohio State firing on all cylinders early. Smith already with 2 catches, 74 yards. One of them, of course, for that touchdown. This, the first decent defensive play from the Ducks. They bottle up the running back for just one. I didn't know if that was that Quinshon Judkins or... I didn't see. That was actually the first run of the game for Ohio State. Here's Will Howard. He's going to sail it. He's got a guy open down to the 36. Both teams hailing from the Big Ten, but of course, Oregon, a vintage Pac-12 team, so this is really a classic Rose Bowl matchup. And a nice way to kick off the Rose Bowl as a quarterfinal in the college football playoff here on New Year's Day. Jeremiah Smith, that was his 3rd catch already. Here's Will Howard. He'll fake it. He'll throw deep again, and that one sailed high for his intended target. Looking at the chat, simply good. Lions versus Vikings prediction for this weekend. I am a bit of a Lions fan, as some people might know. I do think the Lions win playing at home on Sunday Night Football. I just think that, the Vikings are definitely good, and they could rematch in like the, I guess it'd more than likely be the NFC Championship, right? But I could definitely see that. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if the Vikings have enough to go on the road right now. I feel like it'll be the Lions game to win. So there's my answer.
So many injuries on defense, though. It could be a shootout.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I just feel like there's something there that the Lions find a way to win. Again, if they have to play for a 3rd time, I don't know. I think things might catch up to them. But I think playing at home and that crowd's gonna be rocking at Ford Field. I'll take the Lions. Maybe like a 38-35 type game, something like that. Here's Will Howard. It's 3rd and 10 after the last play. That one is going to be grounded, I believe, at the heels of Trevion Henderson.
He was being wrapped up by the Oregon defense there, so good stand from Oregon defense. Way to settle in, and should bring out the field goal team for Ohio State.
There has been talk about just the rust that a lot of these teams are coming off of course, with the, they got to bye, right? Oregon and Arizona State and Boise State, they haven't played in like a month. And so there's got to be some rust to kick off for these teams. Ohio State, of course, fresh off that dominant win over the Tennessee Volunteers, trying to coffin corner that one. But they will be unable to use the sideline, and the Ohio State man downfield unable to catch it before it rolls into the end zone. Dylan Gabriel will lead his team out after the touchback. They'll get the ball back. And we're going to take a very quick break. All right, so if you're just joining us, again, it has been some early fireworks here between the Buckeyes and the Ducks. 7-0. The Oregon really couldn't get much going. They had to punt it pretty quick. Only about 9 yards on that first drive net, but their defense did bow up and get a stop after Jeremiah Smith had an incredible high point catch. So the Ducks, they'll have the ball back. They just had a touchback, so they'll take it at the 20 off the Ohio State punt. What do you think of that decision to punt there?
I don't know. I guess I'm not super familiar with the Ohio State kicker. I thought with the throwaway that they would still be in the edge of range, but obviously Ryan Day didn't think so, and decided to punt it, and they didn't get the result they wanted, so it doesn't end up being a huge net difference. But
I thought I can't remember where they were. They're somewhere on the plus side of the field. We're back on the broadcast, but uh, I don't remember if they were quite in field goal range, but yeah, that was probably the right decision to punt. Although really, it only ended up being like a net 20-yard punt, so maybe you could have even gone for it on 4th and 10. I don't know, just
yeah,
a
I think it
thought.
would have I think it was gonna end up being let's see, they were at the the 36,
Mm-hmm.
so it would have been a 51 yarder, about 51, 52.
If you're wondering about the clock, also, I'm just updating at every commercial break, and then I'm going to try and update the down on every opportunity I get. So if you're wondering how that's going to work on the scoreboard, there you go. There's a good pass out to the running back. And I believe
Jordan
that's James.
James.
Yep. So he gets a good catch. He's now at 2 catches, 7 yards in the early going. It'll be 2nd down, and I believe 8.
And a bit slow going for Oregon so far, but if they get in a rhythm, they can start moving. So we'll see if they can find some rhythm here.
Mm-hmm. Dylan Gabriel looking to throw. He's popped. He was looking to heave it deep. They got a hand on his arm, and it forces an incomplete, arid pass. 3rd down. Looks like the Ohio State defender just barely got a hand on the arm. definitely looks like the arm was going forward, so no fumble event there. Still, I mean, 5 minutes into the game, Ohio State with 117 yards, Oregon with 11. If that continues, we could have a blowout, an upset blowout. That one into traffic and nearly intercepted by the Buckeyes. It's 4th down. Still no first downs for the Ducks. What do you think of that pass choice there?
Definitely just tried to force it. Felt the pressure and just not really in rhythm yet in this game.
Tez Johnson, that key wide receiver for the Ducks, only 5 yards early. That is a low punt that'll take an Ohio State bounce. They're going to have excellent field position all the way at their own 47. So, again, not disaster by any means for the Ducks, but definitely not the best, I'd say. With 8:36 to go, they're going to take another commercial break here at the Rose Bowl. So early on, I feel like Ohio State, they've got a chance to blow this wide open. Less than 20 yards total so far for Oregon, and almost 100 more for Ohio State. I mean, that's not going to win you the game for Oregon. They got to figure this out.
Yeah, they got to get going.
It is definitely not the best start for the Ducks, but again, it's very early, and again, as we've talked about, Arizona State, you saw a lot of rust from them. They were down 24-8 with like 6 minutes left, and ended up forcing double overtime in the last game. And Boise State last night, they struggled early. They ended up making it 17-14. They had a ton of opportunities to get a chance to win that game, really. And so it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances that Penn State benefited from last night. Again, with Texas, them winning 39-31 in double overtime, they will play the winner of this Rose Bowl. I believe that game will be at the Cotton Bowl next week. And then the winner of that will play for it all on January 20th.
So a little bit of a home field advantage for Texas.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
having to travel too far to the Cotton Bowl.
Absolutely. The Cotton Bowl, of course, right in their backyard. Not so much for the winner of this game. And you do wonder, there are definitely more Arizona State fans at the Peach Bowl earlier, despite it being a further distance. And you wonder if that's Texas fans hedging their bets on being able to stay local but go to a playoff game at the Cotton Bowl. Now, I know they had their home playoff game, but I'm also just considering the fact that there was, the later the game, really the more exciting, right? And so you've got that Cotton Bowl right in their backyard. Why not wait for that one? So Texas fans lucked out. If they wanted to go see a playoff game, and that was the one they bought their tickets for. But because of that, didn't see a whole lot of the average fan's only going to go to one playoff game, if any. Well, I'm going to assume that Texas fans were assuming they were going to beat Arizona State, so why not aim for the Cotton Bowl? And so could be a lot of Texas fans at that game.
Rose Bowl is looking pretty split, despite Oregon being a bit closer. But from what I'm seeing, it's looking pretty split.
Yeah. Ohio State fans always travel well, and of course, this is the granddaddy of them all, as they say. That one high-pointed, but it'll be caught for the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's a Mika Buka for 8 yards. So coming out of the commercial break, here's a handoff. Getting shifty with it. And I need to know the numbers. I'm not super well rehearsed.
Henderson.
That's Henderson? Okay, so Henderson is 22.
He's 32
Or
and
excuse me,
Judkins is
32.
1.
Yeah, there you go. I knew something in that 20-30 range was Henderson, but I couldn't remember what Judkins was. So there, that'll help me going forward. So that'll be a first down for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And faking the handoff to Henderson. Will Howard goes deep again. Drops it in. A bucket. And that bucket has a whole lot of gold in it. Touchdown.
We might have some big trouble for Oregon here.
Yeah,
Ohio State is looking sharp early.
Dad Lanning. He is not pleased on the sideline. Again, Ohio State, this is probably the most talented team in college football. I really don't know if there's anyone who has more raw talent. Now, again, after that Michigan loss, there's a lot of people talking about how this team was a bust. Again, they came into this season with the motto championship or bust. It felt like they might not even win a playoff game. Well, right now, they've got the #1 team in the country on the ropes. Less than halfway through this first quarter, it's 14-0. Look at that ball. Will Howard, he's looking like the veteran he is early. I mean, my goodness, you can't really place that ball any better. He's got time in the pocket. He had that guy coming to him, but he just decided, hey, let's dial that one up. He gives it to Emeka Egbuka, and he gets his first touchdown of this Rose Bowl game. So if you're just tuning into this game, Ohio State has blown scoring open early. It is 14-0 Buckeyes with 7:31 to go in this first quarter. Lining up for the kickoff. And they'll put boot to leather, and we're off again, with it being Oregon football for the third time today. Now, Ohio State did start with the football, and you know that always presents a disadvantage, you'd think, right? I believe Ohio State did, correct? Yeah, they did. I remember.
Yeah.
Now. But you know, when you're outdoing your opponent 170-11, less than halfway through the first quarter. I mean, taking that
You can
ball.
do what you want.
Ohio State, I believe, won the toss. They won it. You know, typically, I think having the ball first is a disadvantage. It's definitely worked out just fine for them so far. Gabriel's gonna fake there, and they're gonna go end around. Here's some trickery, and it's blown up. Ohio State having none of it.
And then just trying to get something going, but Ohio State not fooled.
Absolutely not. And that's going to be second, and it's looking like a long 11. 0 first downs so far for the Ducks. Faking the handoff. They're going to go screen pass. And he's going to get about 4. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Screen game is like an extension of the run game, and if you can't run the ball, you can't win, and they haven't been able to run or really get that screen game going yet.
-2 rushing yards for the Ducks, so far they have been outplayed in the trenches. Again, the first time these two teams met, it was a 1-point game. Oregon won, but they also had home field advantage. Typically, they say home field advantage is worth about a 3-point swing. Ohio State might just be the better team. Are we seeing it here? There's a dump off. Looking for that first down. They got it.
That's big for some rhythm and confidence for Gabriel. Just a nice, easy pass. And they didn't bring you any pressure, so he had time to make a good read there. And we'll see if that unlocks something for this Oregon offense.
So Trey Ferguson gets his first catch of the ball game. The tight end for 9 yards there. And it's a first down for the Ducks. There we go. Just trying to adjust my down marker there. And a handoff to James. And he's got another first down rumbling near midfield.
They use those wide splits to spread everybody out, and they just end up running up the middle. And if you don't stack the box there, you got numbers.
So again, 14-0, but Oregon starting to finally find their rhythm. Have they kicked off the rust? It's play action. Going deep for the first time. Can he drop it in? Tipped in the air! And incomplete. That ball
Off
was...
the helmet. It looked like it was hanging up there. Maybe had a chance to catch it, but didn't have the momentum to go back and get it.
Of course, he was being restricted back. It was off his helmet, so, in effect, a tipped ball. No pass interference there, and it looked like the Ohio State defender was able to get Tez Johnson out of the way. It actually bounced off the helmet of number 1 on the defense for Ohio State. Somehow that was excellent coverage there, and it's 2nd and 10. And here's a run, and it's bottled up. Nowhere to go, and that's a 3 to 4 yard loss for the Oregon Ducks.
Oregon has had no success running up the middle so far. Their one good run was a bit more to the outside, so we'll see if they go back to that. But on 3rd down, it's looking like they're going to have to pass.
Thank you all for stopping in. We appreciate it. Got a few people in here right now. It is 3rd and 13 for the Oregon Ducks. I actually call it a 3rd and 12, excuse me. Thought that was about a 3 yard loss. They say 2. Doesn't matter, they need a lot. That one is caught. I believe so. They are ruling that a catch on the near side.
But well short of the first down, and the punt team
Exactly, the punt
will
team.
come out.
Now this surprises me. Dan Lanning, he likes to roll the dice. It is 4th down and 6. You never know, it could be a fake punt. I haven't watched too much Oregon this year. Of course, they have just been dominant. But they will boot it away, playing for the field position. Do they get the punt? Yes, they do. Down at the 9. And it works to perfection. Oregon will have Ohio State pinned deep.
But from how Ohio State's offense looks so far, will it matter?
That's a good question. At this,
already 165 yards in the air.
Yeah, you can't. Almost too much. I will say, almost too much to reasonably redevelop that defense. But I will say, I was in attendance for the Big Ten Championship, and man, that Oregon looks good. I'm a little shell-shocked that they're coming out this sheepish. The only thing I could think is that Big Ten Championship, I believe, was December 7th. We're talking about it being January 1st. By the way, Happy New Year to all of our listeners, but it's been almost a month since the Ducks have played a football game. Ohio State was playing football just like 10 days ago. So they're a lot more fresh. They've got more confidence after that blowout win over Tennessee. And again, to correct myself, obviously not too much to overcome here for the Ducks, but their defense definitely has to step up. They've got to figure something out. And really their offense, I mean, the fact they've got 0 points to Ohio State's 14. They've got, I think, 2 first downs to Ohio State's 6. That's just not going to be sustainable against a team with the talent and the maturity of this Ohio State team. Of course, playing their ads here. A Rose Bowl game brought to you by Prudential, if you're just joining us. I'm a Nebraska fan here with Brivical from his channel. He is a Oklahoma fan. Nebraska actually finished with a better record than the Sooners this year, so how about that?
Well, we're we're in a harder conference, so
Well, I don't know about all that.
yeah, well, we just suck,
You see,
so.
yeah. See that Tennessee Ohio State game I was just talking about?
Yeah, well, that's just a blah, 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 you know?
What's your perception on the whole? Are you all gung ho on the
No, I don't
SEC is
really.
the best? No?
I don't know. I just feel like there is a lot more decent team. I think the upper echelon of Big Ten teams are better, but there's a lot more like good teams in the SEC. Like I think
I
Ohio
think you
State
could
and
say.
Oregon are kind of a level above everybody else, but there's way more good teams that were
Yeah.
close to making the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you look, there's a reason why the SEC has the most top 25 teams, but we're going to have Penn State and then either Ohio State and Oregon. The Big Ten's going to make up half of the Final Four this year, so there's a run. Quinshawn Judkins! He gets popped.
Well,
Lo,
depending on how the Notre Dame game goes, if Georgia comes out of that, then it could be two SEC versus two Big Ten.
that's true. Which, boy, that'd be quite the proxy war. In the preseason, my Final Four prediction was Ohio State. I believe I had them taking on Texas, and I think I had Oregon against Georgia. So, how about that? I think I could end up being quite on the money there. The Ducks defense bottles up Quinshawn there. He only gets a yard, and it'll be 3rd and 4. Doing my best to try to stay on top of the downs, but of course I'm always going to call it out. That's kind of just an approximation of what down. And same with the time. I don't have any fancy timer. Big 3rd down for the Ducks to try and get Ohio State off the field, or at least their offense off the field. They have 6 first downs looking for number 7, and it's going to be a deep pass. It's caught in stride and then tackled. I believe that was Jeremiah Smith again, was it not?
It was, and he's already passed 100 yards on the day, and
Unbelievable.
he is on pace for a monster day.
I can't remember, was it Chris Olave a few years ago in the Rose Bowl against Utah had that insane day at the office? Jeremiah
I
Smith.
think it was it JSN?
Or it might have been Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm not correctly sure. I mean, Ohio State, they're wide receiver U at this point, right? So, I mean, they're churning out these insane talents constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's them or LSU, and LSU doesn't really have one this year, I don't think, so.
No. And another fake. Another play action, and sailed too high for Jeremiah Smith that time from Will Howard. But outside of maybe 1 or 2 overthrows so far in the early going, I mean, you got to tip the cap to Will Howard. 7 for 11, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns already. And again, we're not even done with the first quarter. He's on pace to get about 800 passing yards this game. If they keep up with half of that, Ohio State will be marching on to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, there are some real question marks about Will Howard in this offseason, but he has silenced the doubters so far.
As Howard's going to drop back, and he's got, I believe, Agmika Buka, and a great play there from number 2. Number 2 gets another catch. He's got a receiving touchdown. And Egbuka, a little bit more precise, that's his 3rd catch. I was waiting for my stat sheet here to update. And
It's already 63 yards for them, so they've already eclipsed 200 yards in the air.
Yeah, 212 passing yards for Will Howard. Only 16 on the ground. This has been an aerial assault so far by the Buckeyes. And faking a handoff and then being thrown down by that tough defensive line is Will Howard. Ohio State, this is telling, they're averaging 12 yards per play. Oregon averaging less than 3. Ohio State also with 4 times as many first downs, 8-2 ratio in the early going. They're in striking range once again at the 33. Waiting seconds of this first quarter. Howard, handoff. Quinshawn throws a stiff arm, throws a shoulder, breaks 2 tackles en route to an out of bounds run that warrants a good 5-6 yards. It'll be third and manageable to start the second quarter. That's going to be all she wrote for the first frame at the Rose Bowl. Ohio State 14, Oregon 0.
A forgettable quarter for Oregon. They're gonna have to put that one behind them and just try to keep fighting in this one.
It's definitely not over yet. We've seen some ferocious comeback attempts early in this playoff. I guess not really early. This is the third game of the quarterfinals. I mean, man, it's flown by pretty quick. But we just saw Arizona State almost pull off a thrilling comeback against Texas. They're down 24-8 with 6 minutes left. Ended up forcing double OT, only falling to the Longhorns 39-31. Tip of the hat once again to Cam Scattaboo. That man was running wild. Literally being dragged over the goal line at the end. He was so exhausted. I mean, man, you really have to give it to Cam. He did everything he could and then some.
And he had a passing touchdown.
Yeah, he even had a passing touchdown. I mean, that guy really can do it all. So we'll see what comes next for him and his football journey. But what a story the Sun Devils were this year. Of course, they started the year projected to be the worst team in the Big 12. They ended up playing in the quarterfinals against a preseason national title favorite, Texas, and took them to double overtime. So definitely a successful season for Kenny Dillingham's squad. I believe yesterday he just signed a contract extension. I think that success will be sustained for Arizona State in the coming days. That being said, Texas, they almost choked it away, but they found a way to win, unlike their game against Washington last year. They clamped down, found a way, and, I mean, they're marching on to the Cotton Bowl in their backyard, and they're going to play the winner of Ohio State and Oregon. What do you think that the Ducks have to start doing on offense to try and figure this out? I mean, it has been.
I think they got to establish the running game outside of the tackles. I don't think they've been having too much success inside the tackles. Maybe running a little bit more outside and just letting Gabriel throw it a little more. I mean, giving him some more downfield reads, letting him make plays.
Yeah, it was not the best first quarter, for the Ducks, but they did try some screen passes that got some moderate yardage. So, of course, outside the tackles there, it was worthwhile, but no big plays yet for the Ducks. They only have 37 yards. Gabriel is at 67% completion rate, but only 30 yards. And 7 yards rushing to get that total of 37 for the Ducks. It's going to be 3rd and 5 for Ohio State as we return now. Ohio State, can they continue to pour it on at the Oregon 28. Here's Will Howard, and he'll dump it off. It's broken up, though. The defense marches right to him. Swats it away, 4th down.
They brought 5. The pressure got home and was just able to induce a bad read there, and it'll bring on the field goal team.
So for the first time today, we're going to see Jan Fielding. He's 9 for 13 kicking on the season. This from 46 yards out. This kick is up, and it is true. So an early 3-score lead for the Ohio State Buckeyes in this one.
And This quickly could become a patented CFB blowout.
Uh-huh.
If something doesn't happen soon.
See, that's the thing, though. I mean, Oregon is the number one team in the country for a reason, folks. This team is good. They beat Ohio State earlier. Now, it's tough to beat a team twice, right? But as for right now, I don't know. I mean, this team looks lost. Now, again, they haven't played in a month. They've got some rust to try and kick off right now. But again, it's getting to crunch time. You've got to kick off that rust now and not in the fourth quarter, because at this rate, Ohio State, they're going to be putting up a lot of points. So we'll reset this ball to give it to the Ducks. Ryan Day, arguably some said against Tennessee, was coaching for his job. He had quite the poor rhetoric surrounding him after that loss to Michigan for the fourth year in a row, especially with this roster that was deemed the best in the country, the $1 million roster that actually cost quite a lot more than just $1 million for those NIL boosters. But I mean, the Buckeyes, they look really good now. They figured it out. A 42-17 win against Tennessee, and now they're up 17-0 on the Ducks. What does Dylan Gabriel have here? He's going to take it in a pistol set. It'll be a handoff to James, and he's bottled up. He maybe got 2, maybe 3 with a nice spot.
It just looks like Ohio State is playing much more physical than Oregon here in the run.
I was thinking
just
the
flying
same thing.
down from the safety spot to blow up James there. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Definitely a rough go here for Oregon. Now, Gabriel will signal to his men, and he'll move the running back. Oh, nope, he's going to keep James on his left, and now he'll pitch it to him. And trying to push the pile, he maybe got a couple yards. It's 3rd and 6. This Ohio State
Oregon
defense
needs a conversion here.
Yeah, they've got to have it. This Ohio State defense, they're pumped up. They're feeling it. And, I mean, man, this team is looking elite right now. Oregon, not so much. Can they turn it around? The undefeated Ducks are looking quite defeated right now, but it doesn't have to stay that way. 3rd and 6. Gabriel, the left-handed man. He dumps it off. Tez Johnson, not as much of a dump off, but a shorter pass, a shorter route. Johnson scoops it up. It was a low throw. He goes for the low catch. Presses the X button for a secure catch. There's a CFB 25 reference for those who enjoy that game like I do. There's a run now. Showing James only a couple yards there.
Yeah, and going back to that 3rd down conversion, Gabriel just a little bit off on that throw. Doesn't get punished for it, but he's going to need to be a bit sharper in this game.
That I can definitely agree with, especially when you've dug yourself a 17-0 hole early. They've got to find a way to crack back. 2nd and 8. Handoff. James? Nope. Met right at the line of scrimmage.
James only averaging 2 yards per carry so far, and that is being aided with that long 11-yard run. Other than that, he's averaging half a yard per carry, so just completely stuffed so far.
It has not been the Ducks' day so far. Again, only the early 2nd quarter, so plenty of time to turn it around, but a 17-0 game is still a 17-0 game. 55 total yards for the Ducks. Ohio State has 233. On this play, though, high pass. It's caught in traffic.
And I think they're going to stay on the offense, going to stay on the field here, and I think that you've got to just get the momentum back on your side a little bit. 4th and 3 from about midfield, and I think you got to go for this.
I agree with that. It appears Dan Lanning is riding the same wavelength as you are. Who do you eye here? You got Ty Ferguson lined up at the tight end position. Only 6 big guys on the line, and Ohio State's going to burn a timeout.
Big play early in this game, and I mean it's a bit bold, but if Oregon can't get this play, and Ohio State goes down and gets 7, it might be ball game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We just saw a pretty crazy comeback in Oregon again. They're talented, but maybe not
24 points.
Yeah, maybe not
24 points,
no.
and you have to shut down this offense the rest of the game.
I'm definitely not saying ball game, but I'm definitely saying it's not impossible. Or I'm not saying it's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's impossible. That being said, yeah, Oregon, you've got to find a way to get points on this drive. Even a field goal, just something to give yourself just that little bit of a kick and that feeling that, all right, we're going to settle in.
ESPN already giving Ohio State a 90% chance to win this game.
Yeah, well, again, with a team like Ohio State, though, when they're on, they're on. And so it becomes tough pretty quick to getting anything else going. And I did realize I went to mark off the timeouts. There's supposed to be timeout buttons or little circles to indicate the timeouts on my scoreboard. I just realized what the problem was, but I'm not sure I could fix it without leaving this or closing the. Oh, here we go. Okay, I can do this here. Here, if you don't mind me, just gonna check these timeouts. And then Ohio State, they got rid of their first. So there we go. Now we have those timeout buttons there. Ohio State with 2 left, I believe. Oregon in possession of all 3. If you're just joining us, it has been all Buckeyes early. Ohio State 17, Oregon 0. Dan Lanning, he's looking to roll the dice though. 4th and 3. And so we'll see if he stays with that after Ohio State called a timeout.
I think you have to. Punting the ball back right now is a death wish with how well this Ohio State offense has been moving.
Mm-hmm. We just got a big influx of viewers for those of you who just tuned in. Thank you for coming. I'm a Nebraska fan here, owner of the Kovarks channel. I'm here with Brivical. He's an Oklahoma fan. And we're just giving you this alternative commentary to what has so far not been a great game. We'll see if that changes here. 4th and 3. Just going to update the time. Gabriel, gotta have it. And tipped and incomplete. And that is a killer. Ohio State gets the ball back.
Hasn't looked very lethal today.
Something is off.
Ohio State is as advertised so far. Maybe it's that college football rust, that first round bye rust. As that's just not the right read at all.
Well, again, and we saw Arizona State and even Boise State make late pushes. I mean, that was a 3-point game late in the third quarter last night, and Arizona State down by 16 late ended up forcing double OT. Oregon, I think they could do the same. They just have to figure it out quicker because if they can't come back in the fourth quarter. I think Ohio State, their talent and the way they're playing right now, I think that this Ohio State team, if you let it get away from you too early, it really is away from you.
At this point, at this pace, they're looking like they'll be down by 40 in the fourth.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you can't come back then, and that's what I'm saying is like, I feel like Texas or Penn State, you could poke some holes in them. And Ohio State, they've definitely had their troubles this season, but the way they played against Tennessee, that team has showed up today. And in order to beat them, Oregon has to fix things quick. Here's 2nd and 5. Will Howard looking deep, looking for a gut punch. It's open. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Absolutely wide open, and it's Jeremiah Smith on another long touchdown. And dare I say, it might be game.
This is getting away from the Ducks early. At this point, I believe the largest comeback in the history of the CFP is the 17-point differential. They're down by 23, extra point pending. Oregon has just been punched in the teeth. Wow. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be at a bar in Eugene right now. As the extra point is true. 24-0, Ohio State.
As that 90% chance to win for Ohio State has been now been upgraded to 96.
It is. I mean, there you go. That sounds about right to me. I'd give Oregon about a 4% chance to win, and that's what ESPN is saying right now, too, with their advanced analytics.
And that safety just gets absolutely torched by that double move. No chance.
If you're a Ducks fan, again, I don't think it's impossible for you to come back. Again, it's college football, right? But, I mean, you're still down by 24, and this Ohio State team is looking relentless. I don't know. Something's got to give. If Oregon can't get points on this next drive, I don't know. That might be a telltale sign. I mean, Oregon.
I wouldn't even say just points. I think they need a touchdown.
I don't think Oregon has looked this bad since they played Idaho in their first game this year. Again, if you remember, Idaho had the ball only down 17-14 with, I think, like 8 minutes left at the start of this year. And so that was kind of when, like, oh, Oregon's not that good. And then they had to walk it off against Boise. They did end up beating Idaho, and then they beat Boise on a walk-off field goal. But Boise ended up being really good in that Idaho game. That ended up being a fluke. But still, even if this is a fluke, too bad. That's it. This is your season, right? So
no room for flukes in the playoffs.
Correct. Any screw up at this point, and it's curtains. And this might just be one of the best. Well, it definitely is one of the best Oregon teams we've ever seen, rolling in and winning their Big Ten title in their first year in the conference. Ohio State finished 4th in the Big Ten. This is currently a blowout. And, man, I'm just kind of at a loss for words right now. We do have official confirmation that the Sugar Bowl tomorrow will take place January 2nd, of course, at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central local time down there in the Bayou. Again, tragic incidents that happened overnight. Our thoughts go out to everyone impacted there, but that has led to the postponement of the All-State Sugar Bowl. That game will be at 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. So, we were planning on doing a live reaction. We were going to hit them back to back. We're going to do a live reaction, to this game right here, the Rose Bowl, and then we're going to segue right into a live reaction of the Sugar Bowl. But as for right now, we've only got the Rose Bowl tonight. I'm not sure if we'll do the Sugar Bowl yet. We will be talking about that between Brevicle and I, whether we'll do that tomorrow. So stay tuned. That might be coming. But again, as for this, This is our only college football game we have left today, and it has not been a thriller so far, unlike that Arizona State-Texas game. But again, it's college football. Comebacks happen. Oregon's a very good team. If they figure it out, it's not impossible. But again, ESPN currently evaluating them at a 4% chance to win with their advanced analytics. And I mean, this is the tail of the tape right here. Ohio State, 281 yards. Oregon, 60. Ohio State, 255 passing yards. Oregon, 47. Ohio State hasn't really ran the ball all that well. Only 26 yards on the ground, but my goodness, they haven't had to. So, that's correct. And there, a loss of 2, excuse me, had a little screw up with my audio mixer right there, so I had to fix that. But now we're back focused on the play. I think they'll call it 2nd and 11, so a loss of yards there.
It looks like Jordan James came off the field going to the locker room.
Uh-oh.
So that is not a good sign for their already struggling run game.
Absolutely not. As Gabriel, he's going to dish it out. And there is a good catch by his wideout. I believe, I didn't see who that was that made the catch. That'll be 3rd and 4, though.
Big 3rd down here. Need a conversion.
Absolutely.
Maybe could have had a free play there. Had a bit of a jump, but they didn't snap it.
Oregon looking at the sideline. Tez Johnson right at the near sideline. Here goes Gabriel looking around, rolling out to his left. That one nearly picked off. It's going to fall incomplete.
And another 3 and out for Oregon, and this game just has not been as advertised so far.
It is getting away from them. I was thinking this rust has got to get kicked off at some point. Oregon, they're a good team. They are the only team in all of FBS football to not have a loss. They're only one of 2 teams in all of Division I football to not have a loss this year. The other being Montana State, which, by the way, Montana State, they play them the first game next year. So if, barring a shocking comeback, next game for the Ducks will be against Montana State of the FCS, but they're nothing to snuff at. Although, who am I kidding? I don't think any Ducks fan is worried about Montana State right now. They're worried about what the heck is going on here. We have quite the situation brewing in Pasadena.
Ohio State now up to 97% chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tail of the tape right there. Again, it's only analytics, it's only a bot, right? But it's interesting. I always like watching that because that could tell you a lot. Although, I will say, Texas, they had a 99.9% chance to win earlier. And they just about choked that one away if it weren't for a clutch 4th and 13 play. Sorry, I'm kind of quiet right now. I just don't really know what to say. I mean, this Ducks team, you said it best, not as advertised. I mean, this is a thrashing. Oregon being on the ropes would be an understatement at this point, to be quite fair. This is dire. And again, stadium looks about 50-50 from early returns, so
It might not stay that way.
yeah, those Oregon fans, they might be trickling for the exit soon.
I mean, I don't think they will yet with how expensive those tickets are, but
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to leave just yet, but I don't know, is the Rose Bowl a dry stadium? Because if not, it might be time to start checking out the beer selection. Uh,
both quarterbacks 9 for 14, but Howard has 255 and Gabriel has 54.
yeah.
Just a nightmare start for Oregon.
Yeah, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, hey, we got our good game today, right? We got that amazing classic right there. Uh, just had a comment here. Whoever did the bracket, they did Oregon dirty. I get that argument. I mean, I feel like there's an issue with reseeding. I think that the way that the bracket can be fixed for future years is that, you know, I think the way that it should look is that there should be reseeding. I think that you could still give conference championships to, or give the buys to the conference champions, but you might end up matching them against each other, right? Like Oregon would much rather. Oh, here's a breakaway. Oh my goodness! It is fireworks! Trevion Henderson, touchdown! I mean, this is looking like Ohio State. I don't even know what to say. The largest comeback in the history of college football is 35 points. Oregon's down by 30 right now. I have a more complex idea of how I think they should reseed the bracket to still reward conference championships. I kind of touched on it, not really in detail. I might make a video on that. That's not a terrible idea. But that being said, you know, if we're saying Oregon got done dirty, well, I mean it's not even close. It's 31-0, people. I find it like again, I'm with you. I'm with you that I think that while Boise State I think deserved to be there, I think everyone would agree that Ohio State's still a tougher team to prepare for. Boise State in particular is very one-dimensional. I think that Oregon, if they were given the choice, they would have selected Boise State to play. Now, that's a terrible idea to let teams pick who they're going to play, right? Well, what my point is that there's got to be some way, and I think the way you do it is you do it like the NFL, where there's no matchups that are locked in um, until after the first round. So this year, Boise State can get a bye, but their seed number could still be like number 10 because I think they're the 10th highest ranked team. So you don't give them that 3 seed, you give them the 10th seed, but they just happen to get that bye. All right, then you just kind of move them around and maybe Boise State, based on the results we got, they'd be playing Oregon right now in the Rose Bowl, and that's the way you reorganize it. So I think you can give them a bye, but then you can maybe even pit the two teams that had a bye against each other. I don't know. It's just an idea. Which then the argument then could be, well, pitting two teams that are well rested against each other isn't fair either. But to that I say, I think rust is what's making the difference right here for Oregon, and then some. But there. Yeah, I agree with that. Although, I I don't hate having neutral sites for the quarterfinals. I know a lot of people do. As that ball's batted down, it's going to be 3rd and 12 for Oregon. I will say though, I don't mind the idea that uh, you the quarterfinals are at neutral sites because I mean, what's the alternative? The Rose Bowl's not going away, people. Like, or the Fiesta Bowl's not going away. And so, do we really want like Illinois and South Carolina playing in the Fiesta Bowl? And that's not a knock on Illinois or South Carolina, but the Fiesta Bowl is historically a very prestigious bowl game. I don't know. I in some ways like the neutral site aspect, but I don't know. I could see it both ways. That one is batted down, so it's going to be 4th and 12 and a punt here for Oregon. Yeah. Now, oh no. Uh, my audio just got screwed up again, so I don't think it was for that long, but there are a couple minutes there where I don't think you were able to be heard, so I apologize for that, my friend. But Brivical, he's back. He's still here. I screwed up my audio mixer again, so that's my bad. I need to figure that out, so my sincerest apologies to you. But I have been dominating talking here. I mean, it is kind of boring right now. We've got a 31-0 ball game. Ohio State has 347 yards. Oregon has 64. There's not much of substance I can give you right now. I mean, this game is a beatdown, and to be quite honest, it's not all that entertaining. But
I mean, I guess if you're an Ohio State fan, this is probably very entertaining. But
I don't know. I mean,
I'd be entertained if this was Oklahoma. I'd be very entertained.
Oh. Man, I'm still just trying to process this. So there's a handoff to Quinshawn, breaking away. He is just taking Ducks with him. He refuses to go down, that young man. I mean, that right there, Quinshawn Judkins just displayed his physicality. That is why, folks, Ohio State is dominating this game.
I mean, they're dominating this game in every aspect. It's not just the running game.
Well, I'm not saying the running game. I'm saying more the physicality. I mean,
yeah.
It's just pure willpower is what's winning them it. Quinshawn, and it looks like he was going to be bottled in the backfield, but he gets another 4.
I mean, they're making Oregon look like a FCS school right now.
Yeah, this is pure bully ball. Ohio State now, with that run, 366 yards. Oregon, 64. That's a 302-yard disparity. It's not even halftime, folks. Actually, we're only halfway through the second quarter. I mean, this is dominance to another level.
Will we see Ohio State starters pulled? I mean, at this rate, we will.
I believe that was a jet sweep. I looked away for a second, but Mika Buka got it.
I mean, I think the only other time we've seen starters be pulled in a playoff game is that Georgia TCU game.
Yeah.
And I mean, they didn't really fully do it because there was nothing to save their players for.
Yeah. Now, I get, I think there's been a few dries at the end of games where teams have pulled their starters, but typically it's not like, even when games are blowouts, it's still only like a 20-point difference, and that's not enough to be like, there's no way you can lose, and so you don't want to screw it up when it's the playoff, but, I mean, look at that right there. 3rd and 2, Will Howard, folks, just took the ball, and QB snuck it for 3 or 4 yards.
I mean, basically just walked forward for 4 yards, like, just nobody was there to stop him.
This is just straight up uninspired football from Oregon. They look lost. And it's really unbelievable to see. This is the number 1 team in the entire country, folks. Ohio State running it down their throats.
Against arguably the number 2 or number 3 team in the country, but I mean, still, they're just getting absolutely bullied.
And around. And I believe that was Jeremiah Smith that got the nod. He's going to pick up 5 yards there.
Man, I do not envy Oregon State or Oregon fans right now.
No, I mean, think
I would
about
not want to be an Oregon fan.
my family actually knows a guy that's there. We have a family friend that's an Oregon fan, and he went ahead, bought his Rose Bowl tickets weeks and weeks ago, and was like, "We're gonna be there, and I want to go see them win and punch their ticket to the semifinal." That is not what's happening right now, as there's another first down for Ohio State, and wrestling forward. These wide receivers, these running backs, these quarterbacks, when they get the ball, they just keep moving their legs, and he got another 3 or 4 yards after contact there with 2 ducks on him. It's 1st and 10. Updating the clock. Again, if you're just joining us, the clock is not, an exact science. It's just an approximation. And I'm just kind of updating it once in a while. As there's a lob pass from Will Howard, and it'll sail out of bounds. He was looking end zone, but
Maybe got a little greedy there, but
little greedy.
You're up 31.
Yeah. What's the problem with getting a little greedy right now? I mean, at this point, the way it's going, it almost looks greedy for Oregon to even want points. I mean, this is...
But I guess if you think about it, it's only the first half. If Ohio State can do this in the first, why can't Oregon do it in the second,
That's true. I will say Dan Lanning's ability to fire up a locker room it's pretty incredible. That being said, he is a fierce football coach. That being said, what do you even say? Worst case scenario, you're probably down 34, or best case scenario, you're probably down 34 to nothing at halftime.
Well, best case, you could go get a touchdown.
Yeah, all right, 34 to 7, we'll say. Still, what do you say to your guys? They've got to get a stop on this 3rd and 8 right here. Will Howard, looking deep, looking a lob, and out of bounds. No flags. I was looking for PI. It was Trevion Henderson. I think they put him on a wheel route.
Yeah, they put him on a wheel route, and the linebacker got out there. It looked like pretty clean coverage, and it'll be another field goal for Ohio State.
There's some hand fighting, but I think it was pretty equivalent on both sides. So I was looking to see if they threw any laundry before making the call, but I do think no PI, keeping that flag in the back pocket was the right idea. Here's a 36-yard attempt. This field goal is up, and it is right down the middle. And Ohio State will add to their total. 34 to 0. The largest comeback in the history of college football, folks, is a 38 to 3 comeback when the Michigan State Spartans, I believe back in that, it was a while ago. I can't remember exactly when. At least 15 years ago. That might have been even longer, I'm not sure. But largest comeback in college football history is when Michigan State came back down 38 to 3 against Northwestern and ended up pulling off that comeback. So 35 points, that's the margin. Oregon's down by 34 right now, folks. So it
would be monumental.
Yeah, this would, and we're talking about a playoff game against one of the most talented teams we've ever seen assembled on the gridiron in this year's rendition of the Ohio State Buckeyes. It would take a miracle at this point, really just to make this game close, but they've got 2:59 to do it. Down 34 to 0. What does Oregon have in the tank? So we talked about best case scenario, right? Let's think worst case scenario for a minute. Let's say they, there's like a pick six or something here. Oregon goes in the locker room 41 to nothing. What does Dan Lanning say in that situation to his men?
I don't think there's anything left to say. I think you just be like, team, you're an embarrassment.
It
Let's
almost
let's
feels
go
like
make
that.
this. I mean, if you have any pride left, and we're gonna see like at that point you gotta be talking about next year already.
Yeah.
Down 41.
I mean, I don't think you'd phrase it like that, but I honestly think you're saying, guys, this game's out of reach. We're gonna be playing some depth pieces, and we're gonna be, you
Like
know,
we're gonna be seeing who's really here to stay. You know.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna turn into more of a mental exercise and not a fun one at that. A 1 yard play on first down, and they'll give it again. Is that Jordan James back in there, or is that the
I believe
backup
that's
running
Noah
back?
Whittington.
Noah Whittington. Okay, so Jordan James went down with an injury earlier. No, Whittington is in. He has 3 carries now for a total of 1 yard. It's 3rd and 5. And we've got a timeout. Excuse me, it's a 2-minute warning. So we're going to take our 2-minute break right there. It is all Buckeyes 34-0 in a thrashing at the Rose Bowl.
And now we have to consider if we're even gonna continue the stream to the end of the game.
I'm wondering the same thing. I think if Oregon, I
If
remember
they
we
score,
we covered that TCU.
I think we stopped watching at halftime of that
No,
game.
we came back in the second half and waited to see if how TCU responded, because Oregon does get the ball to start the second half.
That's
So
true.
I say I think we can do that. If that's all right with you. We'll
Hmm.
take a break for halftime, and we'll check back in for the second half and see how this is going. But if you know, Oregon Oregon has to either score before halftime or score coming out of the half for me to keep any interest in watching this game. And I'm a pretty big college football fan. It takes a lot to get me away from the only game on in the country, but my goodness, what else is there to do at this point? Our viewers have also we don't have as many concurrent viewers now as we did earlier in the stream, and honestly, I
I
can't.
don't blame them.
Yeah, I can't blame
Yeah.
people. I think most people are checked out of this game right now. I mean, why bother? I just saw. I checked Twitter, and well, how about this? Nebraska just got another wide receiver transfer commit, Hardly Gilmore from Kentucky. So we added Isaiah Hunter from Cal. He was a excellent wide receiver for the Golden Bears this past year. And now my Huskers, we added Dane Keefe from Kentucky, and now we have Hardly Gilmore. So another Kentucky wide receiver transfer. Things are looking up for the Huskers. I think Nebraska could be a playoff team next year. I know I'm biased, but you look at this roster, I've seen a lot of people saying the same thing. I
Yeah,
even
I mean, I think it's possible,
even
but
some of the ESPN pundits that don't like Nebraska have said the roster talent that's being assembled is the makes of a playoff team. Now, can Nebraska break through and actually do it? That's a different ballgame. But there's definitely enough talent. If Indiana or SMU, no knock on those teams, those are very talented teams. But I think the Nebraska team that's coming back next year has more talent than those teams. They made the playoff. I don't think there's any reason. Now, I'm not saying Nebraska's going to win a national championship, but I think that there's a path there.
Indiana level schedule, or they played some tough teams.
Nebraska. Ooh, that's. I don't have it memorized. I think we don't. We avoid Oregon. We avoid Ohio State. We play Michigan at home. Michigan's going to be really good next year, folks. They have, of course, Bryce Underwood coming in at quarterback. Uh, Nebraska plays them at home, and then they have Penn State on the road. So those are the two tough ones. But there's a first down for Oregon. It's only their fourth of the ball game, but Ty Ferguson gets a catch coming out of the 2-minute warning, and it'll be 1st and 10 Ducks. Ooh. But yeah, Nebraska's schedule, they play Cincinnati as their tougher out of conference game, and that'll be a Thursday night on opening weekend. is well, hold on, scratch that thought. Dylan Gabriel's gonna heave it deep, but there's nobody even close to that football, and the closest person was the Ohio State defenders, so 2nd and 10. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, speaking for that Nebraska schedule, they play Michigan. That's going to be tough. Penn State on the road, and then they open on a Thursday night in Kansas City against Cincinnati. That'll be the lone non-conference game that should be tough. They have Akron and Houston Christian and those other non-conference spots. Here's Gabriel trying to prance around, and he's sacked. As this clock continues to dwindle.
Oregon not using any timeouts here. This is 3rd and long now.
I find it hard to blame them, though, because it feels like the odds of them converting this, regardless of time, are pretty low, and you don't want Ohio State to score again before half, because that might...
Then that might end it.
Well, yeah, it's... I mean, it felt like this game ended 20 minutes ago. Now, it's not impossible, and that's why we're still on the air, but they need something. 3rd and 16. Gabriel gonna heave it. It's caught. Tez Judson is open. Tez Judson makes a shifty move and inside the 25. 30 seconds to go.
It's a big play for Oregon there. He stepped out of bounds. That wasn't to our. Is he gonna be caught on that?
Now,
Or
was he
I guess it was
pushed
ruled that he
out?
was pushed. Doesn't matter. They didn't call it.
They get the snap off. I don't know if that would have been reviewable either way. They're going to dish it out to Whittington, and he's going to get a few. Now, this clock's rolling, and now they'll call a timeout. So I think they'll add time back. There'll be about 18 seconds left on the clock for Oregon. 2nd and 6. So that was a big conversion for Oregon, and I mean, even if it's just a field goal, I think you have to have something on the board. I mean,
yeah.
I just do you play for the touchdown if push comes to shove?
You absolutely play for the touchdown,
Yeah.
but I mean, you have 1 or 2 shots to the end zone here. You got 2 timeouts, so you got 2 plays to the end zone here. I guess you don't have to go to the end zone on the first one either, so
I guess
definitely should try for the touchdown.
I just wonder. I mean, like you said, in theory, there's not a reason that Oregon can't pull a rabbit out of their hats and do the reverse in the next half, and so I feel like it would be, it'd be almost more important just to have something, just to keep the heads up. But although it does kind of feel like waving the white flag at that point because they're down by 34, so I don't.
I mean, I do think if it gets down to low time, you should take the 3, but
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not saying you concede that, but I'm saying if the next 2 plays are incomplete passes, then you do that. Gabriel's going to roll out. He's going to look to run, and he's going to be about a yard shy of the first down. He gets out of bounds to stop the clock. It'll be 3rd and 1 with 9 seconds. Oh, boy. What do you do here? Do you have time for... How many plays do you think they have?
I think they just got the 1.
Well, here we go. Gabriel over the middle. It's caught. Oh, a big hit at the end of that play down to the 5. That took 7 seconds off the clock. We'll put 2 on there for you.
Now you got a decision here. 1st and goal. You've gotten pretty close. Obviously, if you run an offensive play here, you're not going to be able to get your field goal, but...
What's interesting is that's the first time today we've had a 1st and goal. Every other score has came off a longer range play. Neither team is set up for a 1st and goal play. At least not that I can remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm saying that from memory.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I can look here.
Yeah.
Let's see. 45-yard touchdown, 42-yard touchdown, field goal. 43-yard touchdown, 66-yard touchdown. All of their touchdowns have come from 40 plus.
Yeah, that's wild. If you're, I mean, that's just pure dominance. You don't even need uh, any like red zone offense because they're just pulling off big play after big play. I mean, Will Howard, 11 for 18, 269 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Incredible here in the Rose Bowl. They're going to go for it. First and goal, 3 seconds, and, well, the clock expires, but they're going to call a dead play, and it'll be an Ohio State timeout. So each team uses a timeout there, and as a formality, I'll go ahead and take those off of the scoreboard. So you like this call? First and goal at the 5.
Yeah, I think you got to go for this at this
Yeah,
point. If you want a chance to get back in this game, you need a touchdown.
I agree. My point I was making about how you have to get points, I was thinking like if it ended up being you were
Yeah, if you were
25,
at like the 20, yeah,
yeah,
then I think you
then
take the 3. But
yeah,
from the 5-yard line, I think your
yeah,
odds of scoring are decently high,
yeah.
and I think you got to go.
Well, I feel like we've seen a lot of blocked and missed kicks so far this CFP2, so I mean, it's no gimme, even though it's. I mean, we just saw a centered, fairly short kick missed by Burt Auburn in the last game. Texas did end up going on to win despite that miscue. Here's the first half. Gabriel rolling. Gabriel throws! Touchdown, Oregon!
And we'll put the graphic to use finally.
Yep, there you go.
And not quite over yet.
Something to cheer about for the Duck fans. As they're going to review it, but I do think, yeah, he definitely had control. He definitely had that foot down. That is a touchdown for Oregon. So, go ahead and I'll wait to update the scoreboard until after the result of this extra point. Looks like they're going to go for 2. I mean, why not? You're might as well.
Might as well, yeah.
Gives us an opportunity to maybe put up some scoregami to, if they get this and get 8 points. I mean, that'd be a saving grace for this so far blowout of a game. Here is Dylan Gabriel. He's going to roll, and he's got it. And that'll end your first half. Oregon finds the end zone, finds the 2-point conversion, and the Ducks, not dead in the water yet. They get the ball to start the second half. And just like that, folks, it might just be a ball game. That's a lie. It's probably not a ball game, but they have an opportunity. I don't have audio on. Tell me how this interview with Dan Lanning goes right now. They're interviewing Dan Lanning on the broadcast. I'm curious.
I mean, pretty surface level, just saying that they got to do better and there's stuff they can improve on and they're going to come back in the second half.
Well, that sounds about right.
Oregon does get the ball out of half, so if they could double up here, it might be a game.
Yeah. It's not out of the question. Again, biggest comeback in the history of college football is 35 points. Oregon was down 34. But that's going to be halftime. We're going to take a break. I'm going to go get some food, and I think you are as well. So we're going to go grab ourselves some snacks, and we'll be ready for the second half. Hopefully it's a ball game, but your first half score, the Ohio State Buckeyes 34, the number 1 Oregon Ducks 8. All right, we are back right as a new kickoff happens. It looks like we had a bot in the chat, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of him. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. So what do we think of this first half? So we head
Well,
into the
it
second.
was not the closest, but we'll see if Oregon can score on this drive and kind of get back into the game a little bit.
Well, it is still Whittington out there, not the Jordan James, the starting running back. They'll give to him for no gain on the first play. The second half, Oregon, despite being down by 26, they do have the ball here, so we'll see what they can do. I'll go ahead and update this.
Gabriel is sacked.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's no good. Sorry, I was looking away, trying to update my scoreboard, so I think you're a little bit ahead of me right now, but it might not matter. We might be, if this gets too out of hand, we're closing shop for the night, so,
Yeah.
the way things are looking, it's 3rd and 22. Not
Yeah.
optimal for Oregon, but...
So if Oregon punts and Ohio State gets a touchdown, is that too much?
We'll see. We'll play it by the moment. Here's 3rd and 22. Gabriel. Rolling. Gabriel. Dancing. Gabriel. Open! Is he in? Yes, sir! He might just be inches shy, though.
It'll be a couple inches short, but they should go for this here. And yes, he did get both feet in, actually.
Yeah, that's a good catch in the NFL now. I'd like to see another angle. I think they gave him a bad spot. I really think it should be 4th and inches, but still. This could potentially be our ball game. Right at the start of the 3rd quarter. 4th and 1. It's a keeper. Gabriel! Muscles. Does he have it? I think they're signaling for a measurement.
No, I think they said he got it.
Oh, they did? Okay, I thought one official came in and, Alright, I was confused. I thought I saw different things, but yes. They are saying he got it. First down, Ducks. And here goes Gabriel. He's gonna fire. It's Ferguson. The tight end rumbling. And past midfield. A little bit of a fire let under these Ducks.
And might have came at just the last second that it would be still winnable for them.
Yep, they've got no room for error the rest of this game. There's the dump off, Whittington. I guess not a dump off, but a short route. He'll get about half. 2nd and medium. So the Ducks, they're going to mark up 5. The Ducks need to start cranking out yards here. If you're just joining us, this is a supplemental live stream to the game. We're not allowed to show the game, of course, but we are displaying these graphics, and we'll give you audio announcing of the game via ourselves. That play goes for no gain, so it'll be 3rd and 5 now. Again, Oregon, they gotta move. They're down 34-8. There's no time to waste. Here's Gabriel on 3rd and 5. Just under 11 minutes in the 3rd quarter. And Dylan will throw! It's high pointed, but it's caught. I believe by Tez Johnson.
I think that was Holden.
Or no, hold it. Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. I had the wrong number. I thought it was a 1-5. It was just yes, Tez Johnson is 1-5. That's just a 1 though. All right. Screwed that up, but we're good now. Gabriel fakes the handoff, looking for play action, rolling to his left, searching downfield. Ty Ferguson lunging forward. It's 1st and goal, Ducks. What do we think of this play selection? That's fire coming out of the
Just
halftime.
a little rollout and putting number 6 in stress. You got to pick one and chooses to cover Gabriel, and Gabriel just throws over his head.
Ohio State really lost to Michigan. Well, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm not sure how that Michigan team beat Ohio State, but this is going to be another Patriots versus Falcons. We'll see. That's a tall task, but you never know. Can they muscle it in here? That's about half the yardage there. It'll be 2nd and a long 2, I think. Of course, goal to go. Thanks to everyone.
Already 6 minutes off of the clock, though, so not the most efficient drive from Oregon.
No. I don't update the clock all the time. I just update it around commercial breaks or so, but the Duck fans in the stands look a lot more pleasant. They feel that this game is not over. Dan Lanning nervously watches. Again, it looks to be about 2nd and 2, goal to go, and now a penalty and a delay of game. Killer. Or they call a timeout. I think they gave him the timeout. Still, though, you're down by 26.
Definitely kind of needed those timeouts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if any football team has needed those timeouts more than this Oregon team right now. Because it's not... They've got a chance. It's a very slim chance. But it's not 0. That's not going to help. So we'll take their first timeout off the board. And we're going to step aside just for a second here. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, currently sitting at about 600 views on the stream, so thank you all for hanging out with us. If you are enjoying, make sure to leave a like. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm. I'm trying to grow this channel a little bit. You know, if you have been following me at all, I uploaded quite a bit through the first half of the season, then a bunch of stuff caught up to me. But hopefully next year, every year I start uploading a little bit more throughout the year. So, like, I'll make it an extra few weeks. And so one of these years I'll post consistently throughout the whole year. But
Yeah, what happens first? Full you upload throughout the whole year, or you go to college? Which happens first?
I'm, we'll see. Oh, you're an Auburn fan. Okay. Rain Day is one of the biggest. Hey, I don't disagree with that. So I remember, I'm a Nebraska fan, and I was at the Nebraska-Ohio State game earlier this year, and that was something. Nebraska almost pulled off that upset, but man, Ryan Day, he gets fired up, and a lot of times not very justified. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Him and James Franklin aren't my favorite personalities in the sport, but I would like to see Bo Nix beat Kansas City. What do you think of that game? You think Bo Nix and the Broncos can get into the playoffs with a win over
I mean,
KC?
I think they. I'd love to see the Bengals in the playoffs, but I think the Chiefs should be resting their starters. I think they have the 1 seed locked down. So,
Yeah, they do. That's
um,
why I'm definitely leaning towards
I
Broncos.
definitely, I definitely don't want to see Miami in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're gonna get crushed if they get in. There's a goal line push, and they say touchdown. I thought he was short. No, sir. Oregon comes out the gate swinging. Casey's already in. Yeah, I assume so. I mean, well, they're definitely already in, but yeah, they already have the 1 seed locked up, so they'll be resting their starters, and so
Yeah, I was at that block kick game in KC. That was crazy. I'm not really a fan of either team, but we were just there.
oh, you were?
So, yeah.
I didn't know you went there. That's your first. You had never been to an NFL game before, had you?
Yeah.
I know both of us have been to a crap ton of
It was I
college
was
football
kind of
games, but
it was kind of boring until
the end of
until
that
the
one,
last play. Yeah.
yeah, that was ridiculous. This extra point, they just dial up the one, but it will sail through, and it will be 34-15. So Oregon, it costs them a timeout, but in the end,
And
they find the
6
end zone.
minutes.
Yep.
I mean, a long drive. Like normally long drives are good things, but when you're down by so much, you kind of need quicker drives.
Yeah. I grew up going to Saints games with my dad back in the paper bag. Yeah. Saints well they used to be pretty terrible. They're better, and then this year, I don't know what happened with the Saints this year. I mean, start 2-0, right? Alvin
I just
Kamara
think the
looks
first two
amazing.
games were kind of flukes. I don't
Yeah.
know.
They're not just flukes, they're big flukes. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
I mean,
rough.
it was against Carolina and the Cowboys. Those two not very good teams, but
Back when they traded their whole draft picks for Ricky Williams, yeah. That I mean, they say hindsight is 2020, but I feel like trading every pick you have for one player is
probably not
yeah, it's
the
not.
greatest decision.
I could have guessed that's not gonna go out great, but and then think then he put on like that dress with the coach on that magazine cut. Yeah, that whole situation was weird, but that was a long time ago. Oh boy. Well, if you're just joining us, I guess I'll update the clock. A this was a mess early on, but Oregon, they've scored 15 straight. It's not over. The biggest comeback in the history of college football is 35 points. So, if Oregon, if they could keep this up, you never know. They could have something up their sleeves. So I think, what was it, like 8 something left in the third quarter? So I guess
I think it was like 6 maybe. I can look.
8:55.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But it was a field goal came with 3 minutes left.
A&M UCLA. That's close. So I think that was 44-10 or something like that when Josh Rosen pulled off that stupid comeback. But the largest comeback I think is when Michigan State was down 38-3 years and years ago against Northwestern, and they came back to win and made it. I think they won 41-38. But so that's the largest, 35 points. This was 34, so barely grazed it.
Yeah, if it gets back to 35, I don't think I don't
Yeah,
think the
no.
comeback's happening.
This Oregon team has to play pretty much perfect from here on out. But we'll see. It can happen. I will say Oregon in terms of yardage, they figured things out. Now they still only have 5 rushing yards. 5, which is pretty crazy. Now, Jordan James has 14, and then Noah Whittington has 3, but then Dylan Gabriel has -12. So that's how you end up getting that 5. But they've got 209 passing yards. Ohio State has 269. I mean, they're closing that gap, and so I mean, you're seeing that's the tail of the tape right now. Why this game is now 34-15, but
Yeah, and we'll see if their defense can get a stop here. Only gotten one stop this entire game, so we'll see if they can string some together here.
Either way, I need to update my down. I forgot to do that, but it's Ohio State ball again. Here we go. Handoff. And Trevion Henderson bottled up after 3. So 2nd and 7. I do think it was key that Oregon had to spend one of those timeouts. Not the best, I feel like. I don't know. It is just one timeout, and we're still in the middle of the 3rd quarter, but I feel like that could be something
Yeah,
that comes
three
back to
three
bite 'em.
timeouts can almost give you a free possession if you can get a 3 and out.
Exactly.
You can make almost no time come off the clock.
Which, when this Oregon defense is on, they can absolutely do that, right? So, whoa, what a hit! Amika Buka got it, and then he was dropped. Mohammed there to bring him down. Hmm. 3rd and 3 now for the Ducks. Or excuse me, for the Buckeyes. Yeah, Oregon definitely had some good running games back in the day, but I think that it's just the rushing game hasn't been that good. I'll be honest, I haven't watched that much Oregon football this year, but here's the pass. It is way overthrown. Howard had to roll out. That's going to be a 3 and out, folks. And Oregon's going to get the ball back almost immediately. And the side of the stadium that cheers for the green jerseys and yellow trim, they can celebrate a pretty darn good 3 plays there. It's
You
a
can
3
feel
and
the
out.
momentum shifting in this game.
Exactly. That's the sideline for Oregon is popping. They
There's
are.
a little bit of belief now here for Oregon.
Hey, it's not over till it's over. They're gonna fair catch it at the 25. So they're down by 19, but they got the ball. 7:21 to go in this 3rd quarter. What do you think is the silver bullet for Oregon? What is not maybe not silver bullet, but like what is something they should really lean on to really put the pressure on Ohio State?
I mean, I think they just got to keep moving quick on offense, staying rhythm, and I think they're going to need a big turnover by their defense.
Point, yeah.
They're going to need something that flips the field, whether that's a special teams play or a turnover. They're going to need something out of the regular phase of the game.
Yeah. Here's the thing for Oregon, though. I don't think you could rely on Ohio State just not scoring again. I mean, could it happen? Yeah. But is it likely? Definitely not. And so you have to, for Oregon to at least get this to overtime, your goal is 41 points.
Right? Yeah, you got to score on every possession.
Yeah, exactly. There's no punting the rest of the game. And so Oregon, they've got to figure it out. I mean, but they definitely can. It was a 34-point game. Now it's a 19-point game. Basically, almost cut in half, just like that. And so they're figuring it out.
3 possessions could make it 2 here. So, I mean, a 2-possession game. I mean, from how this game starts, if you say 2-possession game going into the 4th quarter, I think Oregon would take that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal here. I mean, if you can get down and score here, and you can make it a 2-possession game, it's on. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But this is going to be a very critical drive. Is Oregon, are they just kind of, they're riding the waves of momentum of football, but they have no chance? Or could this be a historic comeback? We're going to find out on this drive. Thank you all for checking in. We've got a few people in here if you're just joining us. This is my channel. I am a Nebraska fan here with my friend who's an Oklahoma fan from the Brivical channel, and got almost 700 views on the day. And so we were originally planning on streaming the Sugar Bowl 2. Of course, that game has been postponed due to the horrific tragedy down there in New Orleans. Our thoughts are with everyone who has been impacted there. Of course, some things matter a whole lot more than football, right? But tomorrow that game will be played, and so we'll think about hopping back on the air and doing a watch along. We always like doing it for these playoff games. So this is peak football season, right? I mean, maybe not the most games, but this is where it counts. This is where legends are made, so to speak, right? So here's Gabriel. First play, tipped in the air and almost picked. They had
Just trying to take that check down, and one of the D linemen gets his hand up.
I thought they had Whittington on a wheel route. He was going with the check down to Ty Ferguson, and it was blocked, and a defender nearly snatched it up.
I think it was a designed screen there.
Yeah,
and just read from the D lineman.
Might have been. It was tough. Yeah, I think you were right. Here's second down. Gabriel. Scanning and rolling to his left. Now cuts back. Now he's sacked! And
so
there's
another long third down to start this drive. Remember last time they got 21 on a 3rd and 22. Bring up 4th and short. We'll see if they can do it again.
Yeah. Jack Sawyer gets in there. Makes a big play. The key disruptor. And that front 7 for Ohio State. They have -2 rushing yards now, the Ducks do. Far cry from that 80 we were talking about back in the Mariota days, that being the bare minimum for Oregon. Here's Gabriel. It's the passing attack again. Oh, reliable. But he's sacked this time! Back at the 11! 2 in a row!
They keep the QB spy on that play, and as Gabriel steps up in the pocket, the spy is right there, and it's a good play call from Ryan Day's defense.
A 6-yard loss right there. It'll be 4th and 23. And I mean, you got to punt there. I feel like any 4th and short, you're absolutely going for it, but at this point,
4th and 23 from your own 12 is just a little too far.
Absolutely not. Here's the boot away. And it'll take an Oregon bounce, which will accumulate and end up adding about 10 yards to the punt. Ohio State will have it at their own 44 when they set up shop.
So that bounce ends up netting the punt 44 yards, turning it from a mediocre punt to an okay punt.
Yeah. Still not great, but again, you're not out of it. Oregon just has to they gotta get another stop, and they gotta keep
they gotta make a play,
because like we said, they have to score on every possession. Well, I guess they didn't have to if they can keep getting more stops, right? And so again, I'm saying if you could hit 41 points, that's your goal if you're Oregon to get back into this one. Well,
it's a hefty goal.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You're basically, you need to score over 30 points in one half, right? And so they had 8, they've scored 7, but they have a long way to go in this one. And we're over halfway through the 3rd quarter, and so time will become a factor. Again, the winner of this game will play in the Cotton Bowl against the Texas Longhorns, who pulled off that incredible win against Arizona State earlier. They had a 24-8 lead, and the Sun Devils stormed back late, and were able to catch up. Forced double overtime, but after converting a 4th and 13 in the first overtime, Texas was able to pull it out in an incredible game. Definitely the best game we've had so far this playoff, bar none. So, you're a Georgia fan. What type of fan are you guys? Well, I'm a Nebraska fan. I'm the one who, this is my channel, and then I'm here with my friend who's an Oklahoma fan, and so he wasn't too much of a fan of Texas winning earlier, but
Yeah, no one is a fan of Texas except Texas.
yeah, well, I don't disagree with that. So, I've actually seen both Ohio State and Oregon in person this year. I've watched a lot of Ohio State on TV. I didn't watch a lot of Oregon on TV because I felt like most of their games were pretty much blowouts. But I was at the Big Ten Championship, and Oregon looked really good. They impressed me. Penn State impressed me too. I think Penn State, whoever comes out of that Sugar Bowl, whether it be Notre Dame or Georgia, I think Penn State's going to have a chance against either of them. And I know you said you're a Georgia fan. I think that's a coin flip game between Georgia and Notre Dame. But I think that whoever wins, I think that Penn State will definitely have an opportunity against them down in the Orange Bowl there. On this side of the bracket, though, this game is for a spot in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State or Oregon will take on Texas after Texas won that instant classic 39-31 in double overtime. So here's 1st and 10, and a high pass, and they're going to say Trevion Henderson caught it for a yard. So there's that. It'll be 2nd and 9 for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State doesn't have to go too far here to get into field goal range. Only needs about one or two first downs. So Oregon defense really needs to step up to keep them off the board.
Mm-hmm. So their sideline, they've still got some energy even after that. Whoa, okay, Ohio State's going to check out a little bit of wide splits action. And now a tunnel screen and a big hit. Trevion Henderson had the honors of taking the ball, and Reed on the defense had the honors of smashing him into the turf. What a hit.
Just
looked clean.
Read all the way on that screen. Had 2 blockers but 4 defenders and never had a chance on that play.
Mm-hmm. 3rd and 8 now for the Buckeyes. Can Oregon get off the field again? They're going to show blitz. Here comes Howard. Bullet! Jeremiah Smith, all reliable. He's got another first down.
Oregon brought some pressure, but it was well picked up, and Will Howard got rid of the ball quick, just on a one-on-one screen, little slant there, and they convert, and they're close to field goal range now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, encroaching at the 44. Definitely can't hit one from here, but another first down. You might not even need another first down to get a shot at it. And a field goal, it's not the end of the world for Oregon, but you really want to keep them from scoring anything at this point. Will Howard, play action. Fake to Trevion Henderson. Now sails it. Jeremiah Smith hops up a few stories. And they're going to say it was caught. He caught it,
And
a high point ball. Foot down.
Got the foot in.
Yep. Perfect play.
And he's approaching 200 yards on the day now.
Incredible.
Just what a game.
7 catches, 187 yards, and just a measly 2 touchdowns. Both in the first half. I mean, that's incredible. This is a freshman. One of the best recruits in the last recruiting class, and he has lived up to it. Here's Will Howard. He's going to hand it off. Quinshad Judkins. He's throwing a block. He's throwing a second one and maybe a face mask on top of it. There's the laundry. He ran for 11, got another first down. And now there's some salt in the wound for the Ducks.
The Oregon defender doesn't like it, but I'm not really sure what there is to argue here. Clearly got the face
Oh,
mask.
he was being held, is what he's saying. It's clearly a face mask, but it kind of looked like he was being held. I don't know if you thought you saw the same thing.
Yeah, maybe. But now, first and goal.
Yeah.
Ohio State knocking on the door here of putting it right back into a 20-plus point lead.
Mm-hmm. That really feels like the benchmark. We'll definitely want to check that next drive for Oregon, but a touchdown here for Ohio State, and if their defense can do what they just did on the last Oregon possession, might be over. Here's a pitch. Travion Henderson leaping! Touchdown!
And that touchdown is going to make it very difficult for Oregon to get back in this game.
That right there just put a nail into the dreams of Oregon to finally get their first national championship. Again, I really don't want to completely doubt the Ducks because this is a very good team, as we know, but it's 25 points that officially makes it a 4-score game before the extra point. Speaking of, the kick is up and it is true. 41-15 Ohio State. And the season is on the cusp of closure for the Ducks. 2:19 to go in the third quarter. And yeah, now if the fact before was that they couldn't be they had to score on every drive, now that's really true. There's no room for error now. And like I said, Oregon had to expect to allow a touchdown. Well, there's their mulligan. And
but now the third quarter is almost over. Like that 6-minute drive to start, and then that was another long drive, 3 minutes there, and this third quarter is almost already over. It's like, is there even enough time?
Yeah, it's going to become tough. Ohio State will put boot to the leather. That one will sail out of the back of the Oregon end zone. And a rare ESPN moment where it looks like, nope, they're going to go... Are they going to commercial? Nope, they're going to let us watch some football.
Don't think they're going to commercial.
How about that? A touchdown, a kickoff, and no commercials sandwiched.
Normally it's a touchdown, a commercial, a kickoff, another commercial, and then the drive.
Yeah, something like that, something stupid. But here's something in the stat sheet I just noticed. Oregon has more time of possession for Ohio State, but a big piece of that is that Ohio State, they've been bottled up, right? Don't know what I was saying there. I was reading their red zone percentage, and I was thinking of something else. No, what I was going to say was that Ohio State, they've been scoring quickly, right? Like, I mean, especially early on, the running game did not really get going. And so...
Yeah, I mean, they had multiple touchdown drives that were 3, 2, or even 1 play, so, like, yeah, they didn't need much time to score.
Gabriel will look over the middle. They got a first down on the first play, and they're going to get darn near it on this second play. What I was saying when I mentioned bottled up, I was reading multiple things at once. What I was referring to is that in the red zone, that ball's knocked down, so it'll be 3rd and 2. In the red zone, Ohio State, they're 2 for 2, but that touchdown we just saw was their first red zone touchdown. So I remember that one time where they were able to get close to the end zone, they got bottled up. They didn't really get much. They settled for a field goal, but Oregon was not able to do that twice. And that Ohio State touchdown was their first red zone score of the ball game, other than that lone field goal. Their first red zone touchdown, I should say. Everything else has been big scores, right? And so it's just been explosive play after explosive play. I mean, they're averaging 10.6 yards per play. That is a really high number. Meanwhile, Oregon, Gabriel, trying to roll out. He's sacked again.
And it'll bring up another fourth down, and you kind of have to go for this.
Absolutely. This might be the season. If there haven't been moments during this game where it's like, this is their whole season, that's what this is right here. This is the whole season for the Oregon Ducks. Now, are they actually punting?
Seems that they're punting here.
I I wasn't. I was focusing on my graphics for a minute because I just assumed they. Are they really doing this?
They are.
This feels like waving a white flag. I mean, folks, you're down by 26.
Yeah, it kind of seems like this one's over.
Uh, huh. That really. That surprises me. I mean, we know how aggressive Dan Lanning can be, but my goodness, that feels like just saying this is too much. Let's see, they're showing Ohio State fans here, and yeah, they are very pleasant with, or they're feeling very pleasant with what they are seeing, which is a beatdown at the Rose Bowl. Man in motion. Now they're going to go to the run game, and here's Quinshon Judkins, and he's going to churn forward for a first down.
It's a flag down on the play.
Haven't seen many flags today in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I think this would be the first one on Ohio State if it is holding.
Which it looks like, based on Ryan Day's reaction, that is what they'll be calling.
Ryan Day doesn't like it,
Oh, of course he doesn't.
but it's only their first one of the day, so very clean game from Ohio State. Part of their just overall dominance in this game. Very well played today.
Definitely looked like a clear holding there. And so that'll bring up a first and let's see, I'm not sure where they're marking it. Putting him back at the 9.
Maybe first and 16.
Yeah, first and a county mile. They're going to hand it off anyways, once again, and Judkins bottled up. So, for Oregon, I mean, you've got to get a 3 and out. I mean, it kind of feels like, I feel like we're making justifications, right? But I mean, that's going to end your third quarter. The team's down by 26. I just don't understand punting there.
Yeah, I don't get it. You needed points there.
Dan Lanning is a coach that he coaches to win. You need 4 touchdowns now. Or I guess you could get 3 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions, and a field goal. You need 4 touchdowns. I mean, I just don't get it. I feel like the absolute limit of what you can come back from in the fourth quarter is like a 21-point deficit, but I want to see how the end of this Ohio State drive goes. But if it's going to take time off the clock, I mean...
How much time... I mean, obviously if they score, I think it's over. But
I think
how much time do they have to take off for it to be over anyways?
I think Oregon... If Oregon gets the ball back with less than 10 minutes, it's over. And you can make that argument with like less than
I mean,
12 minutes.
if they're gonna take off 5 minutes, they probably scored.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like.
I mean, I think it is kind of just over.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. I mean, I feel like. I just don't understand why you'd punt that there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there any way that Dan Lanning could think that that actually helps them win the game? They've converted 4th downs prior in this game. Like, I just don't...
And they're 1 for 2 on 4th down.
Yeah. What was the,
I don't know.
What was the miss?
It was like a 4th and 4. And then, like at the 40, I think, recently.
Yeah. That rings a bell. If you're an Ole Miss or Duke fan, because of the Sugar Bowl moving to 4 o'clock tomorrow, the TechSlayer Gator Bowl tomorrow will be moving from 7:30 to 8:05. So there you go there. Uh,
Yeah, I wouldn't want overlap of those two games.
yeah. Well, I will be curious to see. I mean, the SEC has fared very poorly in bowl games, right? I mean, so far, other than Texas, I know Missouri won, but
Missouri
who
won.
else won?
Arkansas beat Texas
That's
Tech.
right, yeah.
Um,
And Texas, I mean, they struggled at times against Clemson, and they really struggled with Ohio's or Arizona State, obviously. So it is wild to think that. I mean, would Ohio State be? They're showing highlights of that original game. Would Oregon beat Ohio State the first time? I mean, that happened, and Oregon they won a gritty football game. The route is on this time. It's 2nd and 15, and we'll see the next few plays, but I feel like if it looks like Ohio State's just going to run it down their throats, might call curtains on the stream, folks, because this is this is getting a little extreme. That run right there is going to be bottled up after one or so. They give him 4. I was way off the beat. I was only half paying attention. I mean, I'm still just flabbergasted that Dan Lanning would really punt that there. I feel like he's the type of coach that just wouldn't do that.
yeah, 3rd and 11.
And he's sacked. All right. Hey, that was about a 3 and out there was about the only circumstance where I was going to say, let's keep streaming. Let's see what happens, just in case. So,
But they'll be able to take this one down to about 13 and a half minutes
yeah.
left. And I mean,
That's,
I really just don't think there's enough time.
let's see. How much do they wind the clock? Not all the way. It'll be fair caught at about the 48-yard line. And we'll be 1st and 10 Oregon. Are they going to commercial break? Yes.
Yep.
You know what? I think that will do it. I think you're right. I'm just thinking,
Yeah, I
like,
think this
yeah,
one's over.
I think this one's kind of just over. And so I think we're going to call this curtains there. Um, yeah. OH. Today it was all IO. I mean, this game was a beatdown. And nine. Hey, we had our thriller earlier, right? We had that Arizona State and we had Arizona State and Texas, and that was a classic. But this one, it fell short of the mark. So we're gonna wrap it up there. There's about 13 or so, 12 or so minutes left. Oregon's got the ball, but they're down by 26, folks. I think that this one's just. It's been over. It really was over from the very start. I mean, we were still watching the Arizona State game, and they just let up a touchdown off the first snap, and Ohio State, or not off the first snap, but one of the first plays, and Ohio State never really looked back. And so that's it, folks. So not your final score, but we're gonna leave it there. 41-15 Ohio State. If you did enjoy the stream, we would appreciate it if you left a like or a subscription. And we'll see, but we might be back tomorrow for the Sugar Bowl that'll take place at 4. No promises there, but we'll see about it. And so again, Ohio State will move on to play Texas, and then Penn State will await the winner of Georgia and Notre Dame. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys all later. Take care, everyone.